Welcome again to another episode of the Dialed and Driven Hockey Mentality Podcast. My name's Chris Palmer. I'm a mental performance coach for hockey players throughout North America and Europe. I'm sitting across from Jeff Lerg, former professional hockey player. Every week we come with things that are valuable to you, things that are about you. That's what the whole podcast is about. And today, going off the idea of you, we're going to open up with our segment of questions and answers.
Yeah, so let's get started on our question and answer segment. Today we have two questions. The first one reads, how should goalies and skaters prepare differently mentally?
Well, I probably took the mental part of the game a little bit to the extreme, but I also found that to be kind of my MO, that people couldn't really figure out how I was successful as this smaller goalie. So the mentality piece was kind of my secret sauce. And I always like to say that no one can really put a finger on how much you believe in yourself. So the mentality piece is probably a bigger portion for goalies because of the stress that the position has. Just think about that. We're the only one that plays all game. Players and defensemen can come off, get a mental breather, sit on the bench. There's a little bit of a lax time where goalies have to be dialed in throughout. So I like to say, just as a simple answer, there is more. It's the mental, physical, and emotional preparation that's needed. And now we've talked about visualization. We've talked about the dynamic warm-ups, hip mobility, reactionary skills, but also players. It's getting your hands ready. It's stick handling with a golf ball or something that way, taping your stick the right way, whatever makes you feel like you're ready to rock. But the goaltending position as a whole has a much bigger portion of the game with the mental piece for preparation. So hopefully that answers it. But physical, mental, and emotional, regardless of your position, needs to be handled.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that, regardless of position. I think in the end, I don't care if you're a swimmer, I don't care if you're a national class archery guy. In the end, the mental thing is such a big thing, and it's physical and mental. I would say, though, that your position is so technical. Like, just the goalie thing's so technical. And I don't see anybody, throwing a ball around except the goalie. It's really, really hard. So, but I do think on the sort of general, the general getting ready thing, it's so easy to get in the rink and goof off and kind of mess around, and you'll see people with a soccer ball goofing around, which is good. It's kind of fun. But at some point, I think it's got to become game oriented. And I think if you could find some way to find some transition time, whatever that is, where you can just be really, really game oriented, I think that changes a ton of this, because I think you do a lot of the physical stuff, but I know a lot of people, they really don't do the mental part, hardly at all. I think it's one of the biggest things missing. So if you can get to this point where, well, now this is when I'm flipping the switch, I'm now dialed, I'm focused on doing this thing, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah, lastly, just with the goalies who I know who are kind of more calm, I was more of a hyper looking goalie, but goalies that were more calm, they didn't do the physical stuff as much as maybe someone like me did, but they did their visualization. They had that internal talk to themselves. It just wasn't this flashy looking preparation type. So whether you're kind of calm or hyper, you got to find your balance.
I just wanted to piggyback off of that because I think it's really important to not compare yourself to a player or another goalie, because you're going to find what works for you. I knew a lot of players that would get so prepared before games or even practices, and it would look so intense. And I was somebody that was never intense for any pregame or pre-practice. But again, they're going to do their thing and you're going to do your thing, and you're going to find what works and what doesn't work. So not comparing yourself to other people is a super important thing.
That's great. I was going to add this thing on. It's just that, how many times have you seen a first period where, a couple goals just happen from the start and then everybody wakes up? It's almost like it takes that first bad thing to have something happen. And I'm sure that comes from not being ready from the start. It just happens. But I do love your idea that in the end, everybody has their own way. And if you do find your own way, just make sure you're consistently doing your way to get ready. So. Yeah,
I'm going to add to that too. As a goalie, I think specifically, when you get one or two really quick on you, I was somebody that liked to go so hard in warm-ups. It was practice or a game, the first 20, 30 shots is just as hard as you can go so you can get warm. So then when the puck drops, you're absolutely ready to go. So you don't get that 1-2 still trying to break a sweat in the first 5 minutes of a game or practice. So on to our next question. How do you recommend I balance enjoying life with family and friends over break while still staying disciplined and doing what I need to do to be ready for when I return?
Well, it is tough because we're here talking about being dialed, being driven, doing it all the time. But you do need that mental breather from your coach, what you might feel as always pushing you or kind of judging you or evaluating you. And maybe you're finally back home. You've seen some friends you haven't seen in a while. Like I was someone who, the impression that has been given here is I was always hyper focused, always in it. But I did enjoy being around my friends. I did enjoy coming home for holiday break and going out to breakfast, having fun, taking a day off from the physical nature of the training. But the reality is those who make it do have to snap in when it matters. Like you do have to get on the treadmill at home and do some sprints, or, get to the local Planet Fitness and get on your bike, get the holiday food out. Or if you're a goalie, you're stretching at home, still hitting the racquetballs, not as much, but you still have to maintain some sharpness. So I always found the holiday break as that mental refresher, and then it's ready to get ready for the second half of the year. So have a little bit of both, but take your time off. But when it's time to put your foot on the gas pedal, go hard right before you got to get back with your team so that you've done some work.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, taking a break mentally, because it's so hard every single week, and especially the higher levels you go, Monday through Thursday, those practices determine who plays on the weekend in juniors. Same thing in college. It's this whole roller coaster emotionally. It's great to just disconnect. You can get back on mentally. It's not that hard. But the thing that is hard is the cardiovascular. It drops off really, really quick. So if you can, and this is so easy, if you can commit a half hour, maybe 2-3 times a week to get on a bike, something simple like a bike, it's virtually nothing bad impact-wise. And you get on there and do the sprints we talked about, just 30-second sprint on the bike, a minute and a half off, 3 shifts off, easy rotation, just to get the blood flowing. You do 5, 6, 7 sets of that. I mean, it's less than a half-hour workout. It's amazing, keeps the cardiovascular up, small commitment, doesn't burn you out, and you can go enjoy whatever you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, and your friend group should be doing the same. That was for me. It was easy because I knew my cousin Brian, who lived a few hundred yards away from me. He was doing sprints on Christmas morning before our practice the next day because he knew he kind of took some time off during the holidays. So, but he's in the basement doing treadmill sprints, and then I was, still taking care of my stuff in my basement on the bike. So we would of course have fun, take time off, but you do have to have that. Some sense of that discipline and responsibility before you go back. It's just the nature of the people you're around. So it wasn't hard for me to do it because I knew my 2 best buddies were doing it as well.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well, those are very important topics to bring up and very relevant for the time of year. So if you want to leave us a question, please visit our website, goaliementors.com/dialedandriven, or you can DM us on Instagram if you do not want to stay anonymous.
We tell you all the time this is about you, but today we're going to talk about what might not seem like you, and it's team culture. Team culture is a huge thing, and believe it or not, it's about individuals. You have a chance when you play to get something extra if the team culture is right. Some of the best teams that have ever played wind up being amazing because they give a crap. They work together. They are bigger than themselves. There's a chance to have something really big, but let me start with Jeff. You've had these amazing team experiences, and you won't say this, but you are one of the leaders of teams you've been on because you bring this crazy energy. Do you want to talk some about the team culture?
I'd love to, because it's really the only way you win as a team. It's really the primary way that a team can reach what their truest potential is. And you see it every year in every sport. There's only one champion. There's only one team that goes through the playoffs and can win their last game and have that feeling of that off season, where you sit there and you say, wow, we were successful. And the way you get there is to have that perfect blend of both not only being good enough skill-wise and structure-wise and playing together as a team, but you have to have that perfect blend of having fun and having that reliability amongst one another. And so this team culture, sometimes of the having fun and reliability, sometimes just goes out the window right now with our modern landscape of sports, where it's not common for players to, at the college level even, and down into junior hockey and down into youth hockey, to really kind of maintain this same teammates year after year and even mid-season. So you have to find that way to, even though things are becoming more individualized, you have to still find the team element in your day-to-day activities.
It makes sense. I mean, this whole NIL thing, name, image, likeness, money, the idea that there's a lot of money available now, and it really is targeted toward individuals. And it's a business, we get that. But I remember in the 90s, really seeing this shift in pro sport, this giant shift in pro sport, where it started kind of in football and basketball, where you'd have these guys who are just bigger than life, guys who get out of the limousine, they've got, all kinds of gold on them, and it's all about them. And it's so cancerous for it to be all about you. And there'd be these guys who are great, but the teams weren't as good as they could be because of the cancer of this massive ego thing. And it's hard. So you get these two competing things. On one hand, it's, name, image, and likeness, money, and it's about you and your career. And I really believe that. I think it's really important. Our podcast is about you and helping you get what you want. But there's a bigger picture here. For me, for Jeff, it's about having everybody do better. I mean, one of the things you won't know behind the scenes is that Jeff, with the guys he works with, he wants to make sure they all succeed. And it's not about just being this star on top of a hill. It's about being a star that brings everybody with you. And the amazing thing that happens is that when you get people in a room who can put their ego aside, they can find a way to actually go for what they want together. And they actually bring everybody up. I do this dumb thing in trainings where I do arm wrestling, and I'll ask whoever thinks they're the weakest kid in the room. And you'll have some kid come up, he thinks he's not that strong, and I'll just have him go without anything at all and just do an arm wrestle thing with me. And undoubtedly, he won't do very well. He's intimidated, right? 200-pound guy, he's a kid. But when I say, hey, help him out, encourage him, and I get everybody yelling for him and stuff, go, you can do this, you're going to be fine. Just do what you can do. The guy undoubtedly will do better. Just with that, in a weird, stupid arm wrestling thing. But in a real thing that's not stupid, like a team that cares about themselves, going for a championship they want, or even just a game you want to win on a Thursday, when you're all helping each other, it changes everything. You know that great feeling. So that is such a powerful thing that not only helps the team, but it helps you.
Yeah, and that teammate aspect is huge. And I mean, you can look at the college sports landscape where you have some schools, like in the basketball market, Kentucky's always been known for that, the freshman phenoms. They're going to build a whole team on, building it all off the superstar freshmen. And if they play a year and do great and move on, then they did their job. They brought them in for the year, and then maybe they paid them some money to get there, right? But obviously, undoubtedly, that team is going to start with all egos coming in. And then the coach, I think he just kind of found this niche of just being great at dealing with these big egos and trying to find them a way to be successful. Generally, most of the time, they don't find the ultimate team success. They're good, but they're not good enough. I look at other schools, not that it's my alma mater, but a Michigan State basketball, that coach is known to just have team all the time. I don't care your background. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how great you were in high school. It's all about the team. And so you find that leadership coming from the top with the coaches, but really the teams that truly find the success, it has to come from in the locker room. It has to come from the team itself. And from the championship teams that I've been able to be a part of, I know that I've been on amazingly talented teams that should have won it, and we didn't quite have that perfect blend of just always being there for each other, or that total commitment, or really just having fun around one another. That kind of that secret recipe that you don't want your season to end. You just want to keep having fun with your teammates. Sometimes that's that driving force that'll help this underdog achieve. That they just kind of found this feeling that you can't really touch it, but they just love being there and around their teammates so much. They don't want it to end, that their willpower sometimes propels past a more success or a more talented team.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember even in high school, my senior year was the worst. We were one of the best teams that's ever been in the state of Florida in running. But it was terrible. It was toxic. It was full of egos and infighting. It was terrible. And I'd show up and we did well. We were just really good. But it was the worst championship I ever had. We won state, but it was terrible. But there's something bigger here too. It's really, really hard to bring the motivation every time, every week, every practice. You'll see some of the best guys in the world, like Michael Phelps, this amazing Olympian. He used to say, man, it's so hard to train every day. And there were so many days I didn't want to do it. That's what's being a normal individual human. But there's something about your guys needing you, your girls needing you on the team, your team needing you. And sometimes when you're not feeling so good and you don't feel like you really want to do something, knowing that your team needs you, knowing that your team's relying on you, that sometimes is the motivation that gets you over goofing off on a day, because some days you're not going to feel like it. So it really does give almost this external motivation to help you do something when you're not feeling like you do it yourself. There is strength in this community of people on a team.
Yeah, let's talk about the leadership of the team. The best captain that I've ever had in my life was a fourth line grinder player who played 2 or 3 shifts a period. He was not what everyone normally thinks about when they think, oh, the captain of the team, the best player that kind of always makes the big play and leads by example. The best leader I ever had in a team was the one who found a way to be selfless and bring the best out of everyone else around him. And he was the one kind of getting me fired up because he knew if I played well that we'd have more success. And he was getting the first line center fired up because he knew that if he played well, we'd have success. So there's that misconception at times where the leaders of the team must be the best player. That's not always the case. Everyone can find a way to be a leader, and everyone can find a way to bring that team culture in. And it's about having that team-oriented, selfless mentality, taking care of what you can control. But then really where the leadership comes in is what can you do to positively impact the team as a whole and the individuals that are part of that team.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a guy who doesn't have a C in his chest at all. Sometimes it's a guy who for whatever reason, maybe it is the best guy gets the C in his chest, but the best guy can't even speak in front of people. But you see some other guys just busting his ass every single time. Every single thing. He's always working hard. He's always being encouraging. One of the most important things, honestly, one of the most important things coaches can do and teammates can do is be encouraging to each other. It seems like it's almost unnecessary because, we're all kind of professionalish, right? We do all this training. We're doing high level hockey, high level whatever. But encouragement's a huge thing. And there are NHL teams like Vancouver a couple of years ago had a terrible locker room. There were articles on a terrible locker room, people not getting along. And one of the reasons why that coach was taken out and other coaches brought in was to kind of change the culture. And the culture did change and it became better and people cared more about each other and it becomes a big thing. I'd even say at Toronto right now, it's amazing to see these guys are really kind of gelling a little bit. They're kind of getting into it. They're working together and it's not from the leaders. It's coming from different parts of the team and it's exciting. And you might see amazing things from Toronto this year because there's this change in how they interact. It's awesome to watch.
And something I've seen in youth hockey, just being around those athletes more, is that occasionally these teams, they identify their leadership group. And sometimes what that does is it segregates the team into 2 different parts where if you're not in that leadership group, you kind of might feel looked down on, like, oh, they don't trust what I say, or I'm not kind of important on this team. And sometimes that causes a divide. And sometimes the leadership group, those players start to feel a little bit more entitled. Like, oh, coach will listen to me, but they won't listen to so-and-so who's not in it. So sometimes that's good because sometimes the leadership groups are beneficial because they can kind of be the spokesperson for the team to the coaching staff. They can kind of be the people who are speaking up on what the team is feeling. But other times it causes this separation of important to not important. So my advice to those that are in the group, I've been in that group as a captain and assistant captain in college, and then again in the professional ranks, part of the leadership group. If you're in that, your role as being an awesome teammate doesn't stop. You have to be selfless with how you operate. You're not entitled to be late on the ice or entitled to just, look down upon your teammates. You still have to go out and prove it every day. You still have to go out and be that big time player that your coaches, put you in that position for. So my advice to that group is you must lead by example, but you also have to be selfless and find a way to help your teammates out with everything that they're doing.
Yeah. And let's say you're really just oriented on yourself. There's people who only care about how they are, and it's fine. Let's say you're one of those people. Let's say you're a kid who just wants to be as good as you can be, and you don't want to spend time on other people, and you want to just go out there and do your thing. Well, you can, but the problem's going to be there's more out there for you. So just from a selfish perspective, let's say you're just all about yourself. If you actually want more for yourself, I just want to promise you, if you find a way to dig in and give a crap about your teammates and encourage them, and you can yell at them and give them a hard time, but if you find a way to actually be encouraging to them, everything can change here. There's actually evidence, this crazy. There's this research that was done, and I'll have to figure out exactly where it was, but there's some researchers in sports psychology who looked at NBA players. And we talked about this in an earlier podcast. They looked at NBA players at the start of the season and looked at them at the end of the season. And they saw who did better over the course of the season. And they tracked how much physical contact and encouraging body language there was between people. Now I'm talking about high fives, pats on the back, it's going to be okay, some kind of interaction that's positive. They tracked those things. And they found that the teams that were more encouraging, just even something as simple as a high five, a fist pump, a pat on the back, the teams that had more of that in terms of just quantity for the number of teammates, they wound up doing better over the course of the season. It's crazy. And it seems dumb, but even if you just do a simple high five, just one up here, even just that little bit, we are made of energy. I mean, honestly, the smartest guys in the world know that we are built of subatomic particles. We are energy. In fact, believe it or not, even though I'm in this human form, if you go down to a super subatomic level, things are moving randomly. All these little molecules are moving randomly. There is something about even just the little bit of energy of that connection. You feel a high five, and it changes your mood, and it shoots off chemical energy in you, which makes you feel better and brings your mood up. So if that works, imagine what it's like to find a guy who's on the bench with you who just got sat a couple shifts because he didn't do well on the ice. A pass went wrong. Go, you hit him on the back. It's all right, man. I'd be fine. Get the next one. Get the next one. Just something simple like that changes all of it. And that's being a leader, and that's team culture, and that makes all regular things transcend. You have a chance to change your life, change your team, change your performance just by giving a crap about other people.
Yeah, and really that was kind of tying into my previous point where it was like, you got to have fun. And when you did that, it makes you give good energy. Like when you have this positive aura about showing up to be around your team on the ice, in the locker room, wherever you are, you just want to be there. And you see these professional teams. Sometimes you watch coaches that are interviewed at the end of the year and they're like, I don't even need to coach these guys or girls anymore. It's their team. We've been talking about it all year. That's what you should have as a feeling. As the season goes on, you should have that feeling of, I love being here. It's fun. There's positive energy. And the coach should just be kind of a placeholder. You've already been taught all year. It's your team. They're not going to go out and do it for you. It's your time to just play. And funny enough, like that was our coach at Michigan State. We won our championship, and he was always just like, just go play, just play. Like he kind of just took the pressure off. Like, we've been doing this all year. You guys just go have fun and play. And that's how it should feel. It's this positive energy. It's this momentum. If you're there in the big games, you're still gripping the stick and you're nervous and you're barking down your teammates' throats. Like you obviously haven't spent your time building that right way of culture and environment throughout the course of the season. You got to have a balance. You got to push hard. You got to dig in when it matters. You got to push past comfort, but you also have to find that balance of finding that positive energy.
Yeah. And I think just to put it in perspective before we wrap this up, do you know why jerseys are sold? Honestly, people buy jerseys. A monster business. The reason why people buy jerseys, the reason why you wear a jersey is because wearing that jersey, in a lot of cases, makes you feel connected to something you care about, makes you feel connected to a team or a player, whatever that is. We love being connected. Do you know that in the ends of people's lives, what they regret is they didn't spend enough time doing the things they wanted to do and cared about, and they regret not spending enough time with the people they cared about. We are social, and doing it alone is the opposite of your core nature. If you want to be better, do it with people. If you want to be better, do it for people. People buy jerseys to feel connected. As a summary on this thing, we talked today about this because in the end, although we're talking about you being selfless, we're talking about you being unselfish, we're talking about you being giving, caring, I promise you, it pays you back. If you are the most individualized person in the world and you don't even naturally kind of care about other people, then be selfish and give to others to get back. But if there's any part of your humanity that likes connection with others, which most of us have, you can get so much more by being invested and being a leader in caring, being a leader in encouraging, being a leader in patting your guy in the back who's just got his head down and his shoulder slumped because things went bad, or your goalie who just got pulled off the damn ice because things went bad and 4 goals got against. Whatever it is, find a way to encourage the people around you and be real about it, and everything changes. It gives you a reason to come to practice. It gives you a reason to work hard on the off days because you know people are relying on you, and it transcends regular living. That's why people love sport. You never know what's going to happen, and the humanity and the emotion and the mentality is the difference.
Yeah, and you have to be greedy with team success. That's where you need to be greedy. You want that win more than your opponents, but you have to be selfless in the team environment. You got to help others along the way. So be greedy, but for your team. That's the best message from this team perspective and team culture sports that is going to lead to you having the most fun, because no one has fun when you're losing. That's when people lose their minds. So be greedy, but from a team perspective.
Here's a good example of how unselfish leads to amazing. I had this amazing team in high school that had really good runners. I mean, we were really, really good. And we had a chance to all be as good as we could be and just come in whatever order we came in. But there was one day where there was a shot at our 5th guy. There's 5 guys in cross country. There's a 5th guy who was probably 30 seconds behind us. But there was a chance to bring him up. And it was amazing. We all decided to hold back and run together. The first 4 guys, instead of being separate, ran and brought him along. And there's this amazing picture of the 5 of us. And in encouraging him and getting inspired by how hard he was trying, he was like 30 seconds better than he had ever been. We had a 5-way tie for first place. It was completely demoralizing, and we didn't do it to be demoralizing. We did it to encourage him. But it was so exciting because this race all of a sudden became about us. It was one of the first times anybody had ever seen a 5-way tie for first. It was crazy, but there's no way that could have happened ever if it wasn't for us caring about him and him caring about us, and how it just transcends this doubt, fear, worry crap. Like, I can do this. I've got my team together. It was absolutely spectacular.
And yeah, that was awesome just to talk on the team culture and leadership, because now is the time when there's teams that are at this halfway point, and it can be a time when you can use these teaching points to kind of catapult your team to success, or you could start to put your mind toward what's going on for next year. I'm not having fun. I want this season to be over. So you have to choose which way do you want to go with it. So work your hardest to be great for yourself and for your team. So that'll wrap up our episode this week. Remember to stay dialed and stay driven on your goals, as that's the only way to accomplish success.
Jeff Lerg! One of the best names you will ever see, keeps this game alive!
Here's Palmer again, the Hockey Mentality Podcast, Dialed and Driven.